I am Dr. J. Hitson, founder of GoodDoctors.Health. Today I want to share with you my story. How did I get into all of this? I've been in holistic healthcare for over 20 plus years, but right around the time when I was in my early 30s, I was developing extreme fatigue. Now we're labeling it chronic fatigue syndrome, but even at that time it was still, that wasn't really a label that they were putting on what was happening to me. It started off small and just kind of blamed the stress of the job. There's a lot going on. I've got young children. There's just, life is happening and you just don't have the energy that you used to have. At the time, I wasn't sleeping as great. I hadn't quite recovered from even just, the years of having young children. But it kept getting worse. And it got to the point where I was almost incapacitated by 3 p.m. every single day. And I would have to almost sleep or just completely rest from 3 p.m. all the way to 7 a.m. again, just so I could function for those few hours each and every day. And I went, I talked to doctors and I went to friends and people who knew what they're doing. And on the outside, I looked healthy. I looked fine. Test results within normal range, but obviously there's something going on. And, you start getting told, well, it's the stress, it's your job, it's, all of these different things. And then, and then you really appreciate this one. Well, you do know you're just getting older. I'm in my 30s. If I have peaked, this is not going to be okay. I can't be already on the downhill slope of life in my early 30s. So that wasn't an acceptable answer. And so, as I'm going through, I started doing my own research. I started just digging in, and trying to figure out what was going on and why was this happening to me. And while I gave it some effort, there was a moment. There was a defining moment. It was about 4 p.m. I was in bed, as usual, and I can hear my children who are out watching TV in the living room. I hear my husband coming in from work. And I hear him say to the kids, "Where's your mother?" And I hear my son say, "She's in bed again." And it just tore my heart. It broke my heart because I did not want them to be raised with that being the memories of their mother, of me, of this person who is constantly tired, always in bed, and not able to play with them, to do the things that a mother should be able to do with her young children. So I started really pursuing, and how I ended up finding out and coming to a lot of my answers. I decided to study ultra endurance athletes. People who run like 100-mile marathons, because I'm like, okay, if they have the energy to run 100 miles. If I can just figure out what it is that they do to get that kind of energy, well, then maybe I can, stay up till 7 p.m. It was just an idea. But here's what was so fascinating. As I was going through and I was starting to really research these Ironman and these ultra marathoners, what I found out was it wasn't how they were training. It wasn't the physical side, which was what I was assuming. It was how they ate. That is the big secret behind a lot of their success. So I started to take that to heart, and I started to adopt some of the diet plans that they had, that they were doing, and things started to change. And so it was a progression. I hate to admit it, I was not eating healthy at that time. Before that, or I was eating what I thought was healthy. But it wasn't nothing like what I understand to be healthy now. And I made this promise to myself that if how I'll know I'm better, because it's hard to rank energy. It's hard to say you're healed, but I knew I would be better if I could run a marathon. Like, that was a symbolism to me. That was something that signifies to me that yes, you're healed. And from the day when I made those dietary changes and whenever I started this path and started this journey, it was within 6 months I ran a 49-mile marathon challenge and had no issues and felt amazing. My encouragement to anyone who is struggling with energy is that this, even though it's been horrible, it can get better, and it can get better a lot faster than you can even imagine. And in my pursuit of recovering my own health, I ended up finding a lot of it had to do with my digestive tract. I didn't know I had digestive issues. That wasn't a surprise to me that I had digestive issues. And then kind of working backwards from, yes, okay, the way I was eating, but then also restoring my gut because of a lot of just antibiotics, especially when I was young, had just taken their toll on my digestive tract as a whole. So working back that side of it, working back on the dietary and the supplementation, and then continuing to refine. And then you find out you're not alone. You find out that this is a lot of people, good people, are suffering from a myriad of things. And when you're dealing with fatigue can come from, mine probably started really in the digestive tract. That's probably the root. But when you look at fatigue, it can be coming from so many different places. I mean, it could be your thyroid, it could be your hormones, it can be your metabolism, it can be just any number of disease processes can be causing that fatigue. So once I started really exploring this, understanding that we have to find an efficient way to get to the root cause, because I can't, I would say, oh, I had the exact same fatigue and it was my digestive, and the next person didn't get better because it wasn't their gut. So how do we figure out what it is? How do we figure out what's going wrong with this mass populace of people in a fast, efficient, quick way? And I found the discovery of the exploratory panels, where we're able to test all the systems all at once and get a solid baseline all at once as to what is really going on with your health, to finally understand this is where we need to start working you back from. Now, I'll be honest, a lot of people are layers of an onion. We peel back the first layer of the onion and there's sometimes another one. But in general, with the exploratory panel, we're able to find 80 to 90% of the problems that are going on without going to really radical and obscure amount of testing. And people are just getting better. And so it's become it's become such a wonderful tool to be able to give people natural solutions for these horrible health concerns that they have, whether they already are sick or they just have a family history, or it's just something that they know that they are going to have to make sure that they address. So that's what we're able to do at Good Doctors. We're able to give people real answers, real hope, and real direction, and give them natural solutions based on science. So I thank you so much for giving me a chance to just share my story. It's been a journey, and it's still not over. I'm continuing to refine, continuing to get more and more of my energy back. It's interesting. I was just telling somebody the other day how, during that time, whenever I was so sick, my hair was just falling out in clumps. And, just recently I was, going through and doing my hair, and it's just amazing how much thick and fuller and how much it's come back. And how, again, compared to how thin it had gotten over those years. So it's just such an encouragement to see it in my own life and my own health, many of my family members, and then of course, just thousands and thousands and thousands of people later. Here we are, and we're still doing the good work.